I want to tell you a short story, something that happened a number of years ago when I was in a remote and beautiful spot in the mountains of New Mexico on my very first nature-based retreat. I was doing a walking meditation in a high meadow, feeling very quiet inside. I was smelling the ponderosa pines, hearing the wind through the trees, and feeling the warm sun on my back. And in just one moment, my heart just totally relaxed. And spontaneously, I knelt on the ground and absolutely felt a part of it. Just in a moment, I felt a palpable care for the earth, and I could feel the earth's care for me too. I belonged here. The moment passed, but I've really never forgotten that feeling years ago, that feeling of belonging that I felt. And that's what I want to talk about today, what it means to belong and how it relates to our practice. I'm right now in the middle of a book called You Belong. It's by Sebene Selassie, who's a meditation teacher. So I want us to just take a moment and rest with the word. What does belonging evoke for you? I had felt it in that moment in the meadow, but I had not really described it in words before. But recently I was asked when I was doing an exercise to do that. And the words that bubbled up for me were about connection, feeling seen, and being part of a relationship, a give and a take of care and understanding. Belonging has a flavor of warmth to it, like metta. You can feel that in the acceptance and care that metta evokes, and that I think belonging inspires. Belonging feels right, the way things should be. But sometimes we don't really even notice it until it's absent. In the subtext of this book, Sebene describes herself as Black, queer, immigrant, nerdy, female. So right here on the front cover of the book, she's highlighting really all the ways that she doesn't belong. It's all the ways that she feels separate. And I think she's touching on something that we all recognize and how common it is now in our culture and in this world. We seem to be picking sides politically, socially, personally, all the time. We're creating separateness. We create an us and a them, and we know that's painful. It's painful for everyone, but especially for those that are the other. And I think we also know that we do this internally as well. We don't embrace all of ourselves, as if the parts we don't like don't belong. We ignore them or we reject them. And yet we long to belong. We long to belong to a family, a group of friends, people with the same ideology. And really, at a much deeper level, we want to belong to ourselves. This is what our metta practice is embracing too, I think. A view that invites all aspects of ourselves into the light of caring awareness, negating that sense of separateness and seeing that it all belongs. Tara Brach, in a very recent talk, talked about how to navigate the upheavals in the world today. And this is what she said. She said, I want to most emphasize, which is to me a key in working with the overwhelm that gets in the way of engaged spirituality, is reaffirming a larger belonging, knowing what we belong to that's larger than our individual self. This is the importance of being together and what's going on. Our shared awareness has heart space for what's here. We can't do it alone. So I want to speak to a type of belonging that is foundational, that is before any social justice issue, cultural issues, even personal issues. And that's the belonging to this world, to this earth and other living beings. That's what I felt in that field in New Mexico. And I'm sure that you've experienced similar moments. Maybe when you were lying under the vastness of a big starry night sky, or looking out to the horizon when you were sitting on the beach, or gazing over a forested wilderness after hiking to a mountain peak. Just a moment when you felt yourself as a part of something bigger. We might not feel it as we move through our busy days. And so I think we're apt to dismiss what it really means. You don't have to do anything particular or be anybody particular to belong in this world. It's your birthright. We belong just because we've been born, and so does every other being on this planet. We have that in common. I used to hear that part about this being my birthright and not really understand it. It just felt like words to me. But what I found is that the 4 elements practice, this practice of reflecting on earth, air, water, and fire, in the way the Buddha taught, has given me a much deeper understanding. It has really helped me loosen up my view of myself so that I can feel myself as belonging to something bigger and see that my life is totally entwined with others. The elements practiced is discussed in the earliest Buddhist texts as part of the 4 foundations of mindfulness. And the sutra instructs us to reflect on the elements as they occur externally, internally, and then internally and externally. So what that is saying is, consider nature outside ourselves, in the world around us, and also recognize nature internally. And then reflect on the interaction between the inside and the outside. It's that relationship between inside and outside that creates the sense of belonging.